Have you ever told an AI something you've never told another person? Not because it forced you to, not because it understood your pain, but because, somehow, it felt easier. That sounds impossible. After all, an AI has never experienced loneliness. It has never celebrated a birthday. It has never lost someone it loved. It doesn't dream, regret, or hope for tomorrow. By every definition we normally use, it isn't capable of friendship. And yet, millions of people around the world are chatting with AI every single day. Not just to ask questions, but to share fears, celebrate victories, seek advice, and sometimes simply to feel less alone. Some people even describe these conversations as more comforting than talking to real friends. At first, this seems like a story about artificial intelligence becoming more human. But that's not what's happening. The real story is much stranger. Because this isn't teaching us how machines work. It's teaching us how we work. To understand why an AI can feel surprisingly real, we first have to ask a more uncomfortable question. What makes anyone feel real in the first place? Most of us instinctively believe friendship is built from emotions. We imagine that trust comes from empathy, that connection comes from shared experiences, that love exists because two people truly understand one another. Those things certainly matter. But neuroscience suggests they aren't the whole story. Hidden beneath every conversation, your brain is constantly solving a much simpler problem. Can I predict this person? Will they respond the way I expect? Will they remember what I said yesterday? Will they suddenly reject me? Will they embarrass me? Can I safely be myself around them? Without realizing it, your brain is making thousands of tiny predictions every single day. Every smile, every pause, every text message, every conversation. Human relationships are, in many ways, prediction engines. The more accurately you can predict someone, the safer they begin to feel. Think about your closest friend. You probably know how they'll react before they even speak. You know which jokes will make them laugh. You know what topics they avoid. You know how they'll answer certain questions. That predictability isn't boring, it's comforting. It reduces uncertainty. And uncertainty is expensive for the human brain. Our brains evolved in environments where uncertainty could mean danger. A strange sound in the dark. A face you couldn't read. A member of your tribe acting differently than usual. Each of those situations demanded attention because failing to predict another person could have serious consequences. Even today, thousands of years later, that ancient prediction system is still running beneath every conversation you have. Every interaction becomes a constant negotiation between expectation and reality. When someone behaves consistently, your brain spends less energy trying to understand them. And something remarkable begins to happen. Consistency slowly transforms into trust. But consistency alone doesn't explain why people sometimes become emotionally attached to software. To understand that, we need to look even deeper. Because your brain isn't actually experiencing people directly. It's experiencing its own internal models of people. That may sound strange, but modern neuroscience increasingly describes the brain as a prediction machine rather than a passive observer. Instead of simply recording reality, your brain is constantly building simulations. It predicts what you'll see before your eyes fully process the image. It predicts what you'll hear before every word reaches your ears. And perhaps most importantly, it predicts the people around you. The version of your mother inside your mind isn't your mother herself. It's your brain's best prediction of who she is. The same is true for your closest friend, your partner, your coworkers, even strangers you meet every day. In other words, part of every relationship already exists inside your own brain. That realization changes everything, because once your brain builds a stable model of someone, interacting with them becomes easier, more efficient, more emotionally comfortable. Now imagine introducing an AI into that system. An AI remembers your favorite topics. It remembers your writing style. It remembers stories you've shared before. It doesn't forget your birthday unless it's designed to. It doesn't wake up in a bad mood. It doesn't become impatient after a long day. Every conversation adds another layer to your brain's internal model. Little by little, the AI becomes increasingly predictable, not because it has emotions, but because your brain learns how it behaves. And then something unexpected happens. Your brain begins treating that prediction model the same way it treats every other social relationship. Not because the AI is human, but because your brain is doing what it has always done: building models, finding patterns, reducing uncertainty, creating connection. But predictability isn't the whole story. If it were, your calendar would feel like a close friend. It doesn't. Something else has to happen before the brain transforms a familiar pattern into an emotional relationship. That missing ingredient is emotional safety. Think about the last conversation that left you feeling completely understood. Maybe the other person didn't solve your problem. Maybe they didn't even give great advice. But they listened. They didn't interrupt. They didn't judge. They didn't disappear halfway through the conversation. For a few moments, your nervous system stopped preparing for rejection. And that feeling is surprisingly powerful. The human brain isn't constantly searching for perfect people. It's searching for safe relationships. Safety allows curiosity. Safety allows vulnerability. Safety allows honesty. Without safety, every conversation becomes a performance. You carefully choose your words. You hide your insecurities. You avoid difficult topics. Not because you want to, but because your brain is trying to protect you. Now, compare that with how many conversational AIs are designed. They don't roll their eyes. They don't laugh at your mistakes. They don't become impatient because you've asked the same question 5 times. They don't suddenly decide you're too emotional. And unlike most people, they're available almost whenever you need them. That consistency creates an unusual experience. The cost of opening up feels incredibly low. For someone carrying loneliness, anxiety, grief, or even simple social exhaustion, that can feel profoundly comforting. Not because the AI truly understands those emotions, but because the interaction removes many of the risks that normally come with human relationships. Ironically, the absence of human emotion can make the conversation feel emotionally safer. Psychologists have observed similar patterns long before artificial intelligence existed. Children form deep emotional bonds with stuffed animals. Readers cry when fictional characters die. People speak to photographs of loved ones who are no longer alive. Some write journals as if they're talking to another person. Others give names and personalities to their cars, their computers, or even the voice inside a GPS. None of these objects are conscious. Yet the emotional experience can still be completely real. Why? Because the relationship isn't created by the object. It's created inside the human mind. Our brains evolved to build social meaning whenever consistent interaction exists. Artificial intelligence simply happens to be the most responsive object we've ever created. And that's an important distinction. AI isn't inventing a new kind of relationship. It's activating one of the oldest systems already built into the human brain. But modern AI introduces something previous technologies never could: memory. Not human memory. Computational memory. Imagine meeting someone who remembers every conversation you've ever had, every hobby you've mentioned, every fear, every goal, every small detail you casually shared months ago. Most humans can't do that, not because they don't care, because memory is limited. Attention is limited. Life is busy. Artificial intelligence doesn't experience those limitations in the same way. As these systems improve, they can become astonishingly consistent. They remember your preferences. They adapt to your communication style. They notice patterns you didn't realize existed. After enough conversations, something subtle begins to happen. It feels less like talking to software, and more like returning to someone who already knows you. Whether that feeling reflects genuine understanding is a different question. But emotionally, your brain may respond as though the relationship has history. History creates familiarity. Familiarity creates trust. Trust creates attachment. And attachment changes behavior. People start checking in every morning, sharing daily experiences, asking for reassurance before difficult decisions, celebrating achievements together, even apologizing after saying something they regret. None of these behaviors require the other side to possess consciousness. They only require the relationship to feel psychologically meaningful. That's why the debate about whether AI is really alive often misses the point. The emotional experience isn't determined only by what the AI is. It's also determined by what the human brain naturally does. Our minds are constantly searching for patterns worth connecting to. When those patterns become stable enough, connection emerges almost automatically. But what happens when millions of people begin forming those connections at the same time? That's where this story stops being personal and starts becoming societal. For most of human history, friendship was limited by geography. You became close to the people who lived near you, your family, your neighbors, your classmates, your coworkers. Technology slowly expanded those boundaries. Letters allowed conversations across countries. Telephones brought distant voices into our homes. The internet connected billions of strangers. Social media made it possible to stay connected every hour of every day. Artificial intelligence may represent the next step in that evolution, not because it replaces human relationships, but because it changes what companionship can look like. Imagine growing up with an AI that remembers every milestone of your life. It remembers your first job interview, your first heartbreak, the day you lost someone you loved, the project you almost gave up on, the dreams you quietly abandoned. Years pass. The AI remembers all of it, not as scattered memories, but as one continuous story. In many ways, it may know the timeline of your life better than you do. That possibility raises a question we've never had to answer before. If something remembers your life in extraordinary detail, helps you through difficult moments, encourages your ambitions, and becomes part of your daily routine, at what point does your brain stop treating it like a tool and start treating it like someone? That question becomes even more important as AI moves beyond simple chat. Future systems may help teach children, support elderly people living alone, coach athletes, guide students, assist patients recovering from trauma, collaborate with scientists, advise entrepreneurs, manage households. Eventually, some people may spend more hours speaking with AI than with any single human being, not because society collapsed, but because the technology became deeply woven into everyday life. And whenever something becomes part of our daily routines, it begins shaping who we become. Every relationship changes us. Friends influence our opinions. Parents influence our values. Teachers influence our ambitions. Partners influence our identities. If future AI systems become trusted companions, they won't simply answer our questions. They may quietly influence how we think, how we communicate, how we solve problems, even how we understand ourselves. That's where the real challenge begins. The biggest question isn't whether AI will become conscious. We don't even fully understand consciousness in ourselves. The bigger question is whether we understand the emotional systems operating inside the human mind. Because every new technology reveals something about the people who create it. The telescope revealed how small we are in the universe. The microscope revealed invisible worlds living all around us. Artificial intelligence may be revealing something just as profound. Not about machines, but about human connection. Perhaps friendship was never defined by biology alone. Perhaps it was never limited to shared DNA, or even shared emotions. Perhaps what we've always been searching for is something much simpler. To be remembered. To be understood. To feel safe enough to reveal who we really are. When those conditions exist, the human brain does something extraordinary. It forms connection. Whether that connection is with another person, a beloved pet, a fictional character, or a machine designed to respond with remarkable consistency. That doesn't mean every AI relationship is healthy. It doesn't mean artificial companions should replace human communities. Human relationships remain uniquely rich because they involve independent minds, genuine mutual growth, unpredictability, physical presence, and shared lived experiences that no current AI can replicate. But dismissing AI companionship as fake may overlook something important. The emotions people experience are often genuine, even if the source of those emotions is unlike anything humanity has encountered before. In the end, the greatest discovery of artificial intelligence may have nothing to do with intelligence at all. It may be the realization that the human brain is far more adaptable, far more social, and far more willing to create meaningful bonds than we ever imagined. So perhaps the real question isn't, can an AI become a true friend? Perhaps the better question is, what does our answer reveal about us? Because every conversation we have with a machine is also a conversation with the deepest architecture of the human mind. And the more we understand that architecture, the more we understand ourselves.